Yo, what's going on, nation? It's a chaotic Monday around here. I'm sure maybe it has been for you too. I am waiting on my co-host who could not get into the studio, so he's working on getting in here right now. He has the link, so hopefully he can get here quick. But we're gonna be with Matt Bassin tonight, and he is going to be joining us hopefully pretty quickly um, to discuss the Lions' second win in a row, to discuss a winning streak for the Detroit Lions. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. They have won 2 games in a row. They are now on a winning streak. There's some people talking about wild cards and things like that. We'll get into all of that. We got a little bit of hoorah, who cares? I want to talk a little bit of Michigan football. And I also want to talk about Cade Cunningham, his injury, and the things that are going there. I do want to remind you that while we're having this conversation, make sure you're dropping your comments into the chat so that we can interact with them. As Jeff says, and maybe the co-host Matt is just lost wandering the halls of the internet. I think so. I have no idea. He's been given the link a couple of times. There he is, right there. What's up, Matt? Sorry about that, buddy. I have no idea. Technology, you get over a certain age, myself, and this is what we deal with, right?
Well, I don't know who tried to put you in charge then. They should have found someone who's about 17 that knows what the heck they're doing.
Well, I mean, in full disclosure, and some people may have noticed this already, and let's just go ahead and make fun of AJ all night long because I went live 13 minutes ago on accident, and that screwed everything up. So this is entirely my fault, and I'll own it. I'll wear it. I have no problem doing that. Matt, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for covering for Eric tonight. We've got a lot that we need to talk about, my man. A lot that we need to talk about.
A little bit.
It
was a nice football weekend for us fans in the state of Michigan, for all of our teams.
In all of Michigan, right? They all won, and we're going to talk about that. I do want to talk a little bit about hoops, as I was telling everybody. Make sure that they drop their comments into the chat for us. We will throw them up. But, Matt, you haven't been here in a little bit, okay? And we work based
Thanks for rubbing it in.
No, not in that way. You haven't been on Beyond the Box in a bit. That's what I mean. And the way that we kind of structure this is now just around like questions. That's what we're going to throw the question out there. We want the people to respond to it, and then we're going to interact with it. All right. So before we get to that, I do want to remind everybody that wherever you're at on social media, make sure that you are following Detroit Sports Nation, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Make sure that you're subscribed to us on YouTube and pound that bell so that you can get notifications for when content drops. Now, Matt, the Detroit Lions went into the Windy City yesterday.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
And look, yes, I'm even wearing my Detroit Super Bowl shirt.
The closest we ever get to a Super Bowl, baby.
The closest that we ever. I almost poured blue Kool-Aid today. I like if they beat the Giants next week, I'm going to drink blue Kool-Aid on air because, here's the question. Here's the question, Matt, and I want to get your reaction. I want to get everybody's reaction to this. 2 wins in a row, something that our boy from Major League calls a winning streak, if you will, right? Are the Lions onto something? And are we maybe starting to trust Dan Campbell just a little bit? Just a little bit?
Well,
I know that's a loaded question.
Right. Let's start the first part. Are they onto something? I think they've been onto something. It's just that no one wanted to hear it when we were not winning football games. And they didn't want to hear it when we were playing with so many injured players that we're having backups come in. And if you're a backup on the Lions, that means you're really not good at football because it's just the way that things fall in Detroit with our football teams.
For sure.
But I said it when everything was going really, really bad. I said it on our Facebook groups and on different ones, biting kneecaps and all that stuff, of trying to exercise patience and never getting too high or too low, because this is a complete from the ground build that is going on with these Detroit Lions. This is not the same thing that we did with Matt Patricia taking over and ruining a 9-7 team. So this was different, and we needed patience. We needed to exercise patience and not get too high or too low. This is a game that we can win because the Bears are in a similar spot. Like the Lions, they are trying to figure out how to be a good football team in the NFL, how to win in the NFL. So I'm glad that we won this game on the road. First of all, obviously, we got Dan Campbell, his first road win as head coach of the Lions. So that was great to see. And we won one of these games where there was a 50-50 chance if we're going to win or lose it. We've been losing a bunch of them. We obviously facing off against better competition. It's not a 50-50 shot. But a game against the Bears, a game against the Giants, in my opinion, is one of these 50-50 shots. A team that is trying to learn how to be a good football team in the NFL. All of those kind of games are the ones that are always going to be 50-50 to me. And we're going to win some, we're going to lose some. This one we finally won.
We did, and came from behind and won. Like, it wasn't even we like hung on for a win. It was down 14 points in the fourth quarter, and came back and won a game.
First time since 1993.
You took the words
since
right
93.
You can't even let me have my moment for a second there, man.
I'm sorry. My bad.
That's literally what I was getting ready to tee up and say, but no, Matt, our historian, has to be the one that tells everybody that it's the first time since 1993 that the Lions have been down by 14 points and come back and win. And look, they did what they needed to do to win. They got timely stops on defense, something that, we talked about it after the Seattle game, right? Like, it's not something that they are known for, that defense, but that defense stepped up in the fourth quarter. They gave up the 67-yard touchdown run. Okay, I get that, to Justin Fields, who we can talk a little bit about.
That was right after a pick six, so the defense had no rest whatsoever. They literally just came off the field because they went from stopping Justin Fields and scoring off of Justin Fields to going right back on the field. Right. Gee, we got to change this kid's last name. I cannot keep saying Fields and Field again and again and again. But Okudah picks Justin Fields, a great play by Hutch as well, and I want to call that out because we've talked about Hutch plenty of times. People calling him a bust, number 2 pick, all that wasn't worthy of it, all that crap. But he made a great play in the sense that he saw the screen, he sniffed it out at the last second.
100%.
He was like, wait a minute, this tight end just let me go. Why did he let me go? I'm going to drop back instead of rushing forward. And now Fields has got to throw over Hutch, and he overthrows Hutch and the tight end, and Okudah makes a hell of a play. But now the defense is right back on the field, and look, I get it, you're jazzed up, but you didn't get it a breather. You don't get a breather, so you're going to be a little bit tired, and Justin Fields is really, really, really fast. Really he just ran right by the guys.
I mean, look, I was not mad yesterday at all for the way that Justin Fields played because I've got him in 2 fantasy leagues, and one of them
I know. I saw the 40 points. The 40 points against your quarterback put up against me.
Against you. Yeah, that's right.
Against me, yes.
Man, I don't, like, people are probably getting sick of me talking about fantasy football on the show, but the reality is it's, like, fantasy football is one of the reasons why I started watching football again, because for a while there, I was, like, done with the NFL product. It was just bad, right? Now, I got Justin Fields on 2 out of 3 teams. I loved yesterday. Why did I love yesterday? Justin Fields had a great day. Got me 40 points in 2 different leagues, and my team won. The Lions won. What a great Sunday it was. To answer the question, are the Lions onto something? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they are or not. And here's why. The Packers were terrible when we played them. The Bears are not a good football team. But I'm not going to be the pessimist. I'm going to say this is the process working itself out. It's the Dan Campbell coming through in his players. And look, Dan Campbell, he made strides yesterday as a head coach. He took what was given to him, took points, punted when he needed to, didn't cost his team the game, and they got a win. But to your point about Aiden Hutchinson, he played so well yesterday. So well. We're talking a sack on the last drive. We're talking about the breakup of the screen, right? Like, throwing David Montgomery down on the ground like he was a rag doll. The defense wasn't great all around. They still gave up a ton of yards. They still gave up 30 points. Thank goodness that their kicker missed one because we'd be in overtime, and who knows how that would have gone, right? But the defense made plays when they needed to make plays, and that's significant for a team that's trying to win. Last week on the show, Matt, Eric and I asked the question, would you rather see the Lions keep winning or increase their draft stock? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And my answer to that was, well, as bad as the Rams are playing, because we have the same record right now, let's just let them keep getting worse, and let's let our guys learn how to win. And learning how to win in tight games against against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, first of all. Because, I know he doesn't have weapons, but he still can lead a fourth quarter comeback, and they stopped him.
If he has some guys to catch the ball, yeah.
Yeah, and then a week too late for them, right? The Lion King right here, I think he's right, with Justin Fields. That was the next point I was going to make. They stopped Justin Fields when they needed to stop Justin Fields because they were able to contain, They were able to, make him uncomfortable. That last play, I think I want to get the number right, but it was that last play, the sack by Okwara, Justin Fields is dancing around that 10.5 seconds from snap to sack. Do you know how impossible that is in football? Most plays average 3 to 4 seconds.
Well, 10 point. It's not like it was a 10.5 clean pocket where he's just dancing around to throw the ball. He's dancing around. Anzalone almost gets him, fails. Aquara almost gets him, fails. Aquara able to get up and then get him, where he just had by the second hit, he's now so discombobulated about what he's going to do with the football and trying to see straight in the first place that it was just a matter of time on that one of him either escaping and running or us getting the sack. I didn't think a throw was being made at that point anyway, but he did a heck of a job. The Lions did a heck of a job of staying with it, especially Aquara, to miss and then get down and get back up and catch Justin Fields, who doesn't even see him somehow. I don't know how he doesn't see him, but if he sees him, he's escaping because he's so fast. And we saw what he did, how he made defenders look when he really was able to escape. You weren't catching him. So it was a heck of a job by the Lions to stay with it and a heck of a way to finish that football game.
Yeah, and look, Lion King against us, we should have ran a no edge rush against Hurts. Yeah, but that's the adjustments that we're seeing the coaching staff make, right? And that's kind of what we talked about going into this season. You want to see adjustments being made. You want to see them getting, and it looked like from the first quarter even to the fourth quarter yesterday, there were adjustments being made. And we're going to get into this in picks in weekly. You don't agree with that? You don't agree with that?
I still am wary of that because the Lions are the worst third quarter team in football. The Lions have given up 80-plus points in the third quarter, and it's just been really bad. So the second half adjustments, maybe they're happening. They're just taking a little longer to implement or something, and they start happening more in the fourth quarter. But the Lions are still very bad in the third quarter, even in this game with the Bears, where we're talking about 10-10 at halftime. And the Bears were able to, really start getting something going there in the third quarter. So I agree that there are adjustments, but they're still working.
Yeah, they're still working it out. Okay, so let's transition to the college game, and then we're going to actually come back to NFL for a little bit in this new little segment called Hope or Reality, okay? But Michigan hosts Nebraska they beat Nebraska 31-3 on Saturday night, right? Is there anything you think that can be learned from Michigan's boring win? Because that was a very boring win. To get to 10-0, first time they're 10-0 since 2006, right? Which is significant. Is there anything that can be learned in a game like that?
They're not falling into traps, I guess. They're not playing down to competition, I guess. They did their job. They did what they're supposed to do. The running game was the running game. The defense was the defense, and JJ didn't make mistakes. That's that's going to be 95% of your game plan throughout the entire season, as we've seen, and going forward, as we're going to see, is that if all of those things are working, Michigan's going to win the football game.
Yeah. I mean, Corum even got tweeted by Barry Sanders today, and there's an article about it on Detroit Sports Nation. You can see it, but Corum was asked who he watched, and he said he watches Barry Sanders, Marshawn Lynch, and I forget who the third person was, but Barry retweeted him and said, I'm watching you too, Blake Corum. And when you got the eyes of greatness on you, right, and you're still doing what you are I mean, Corum is the best running back in the country right now. I think hands down. I don't think there's any argument to that right now. I mean, when the guy touches the ball, he is a load to bring down. He's solid, steady, can make guys miss with speed, but they can also lower. Like, he's a really good running back. And I'm trying to take the Michigan homer out of me for a second, because I know that it kind of pisses you MSU people off when we do and say those kind of things. But the fact that you nodded your head in agreement with me, I think is a good thing. Because listen.
No. It only angers us when it's not warranted.
Well, hold on.
This is warranted.
Sure, for sure. But like last year with Kenneth Walker, right? I had no problem admitting that he was one of the best backs, if not the best back in the country, because he was really good. And I think he's proving how good he really is in the pros right now, right? For those that said that he's not, well, they might be just a little bit misguided and might have a deep-seated hatred that they can't get past. For Blake Corum, and we talked about this a little bit last week, but I want your take on this. What's it take for him to hoist the trophy in New York after the Ohio State game? Because I made a bold prediction last week, Matt. I said Michigan was going to beat Ohio State in Columbus. Corum's going to have his Heisman moment and walk away with the trophy a week later. That was my bold prediction last week.
I'll tell you what. Blake Corum goes for 3+ touchdowns against Ohio State. I think that could seal it up. We're talking about this has become a quarterback award for the most part.
It has.
Running backs win it once in a while. A receiver is going to win it once in a blue moon. But it's pretty much a quarterback's award, which isn't fair. It just isn't. But when you are the best player, which I think Corum is your best player, on one of, if not the best team, which Michigan is one of the best teams, and you're making that much of an impact and it's showing week in and week out like it is with Michigan, because you look at what Ohio State's doing and their quarterback, he hasn't been lights out week in and week out. That Northwestern game, I understand weather. You can't throw when it's 25-mile-an-hour winds, gusting at 40, and it's pouring rain and stuff. It's harder to throw the ball. I get it, but there's been multiple times that Corum has outshone what's been going on, down south there, just south of you guys, down in Columbus, and Michigan has looked better than Ohio State has throughout the year for the most part. So I think it's Corum's to lose right now. I mean, it's not going to be Bryce Young at Alabama. Alabama's lost a couple games, and that definitely hurt your Heisman chances. I don't think it's going to be blanking on the walk-on starting quarterback for Georgia.
Stetson Bennett.
Bennett, thank you. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Bennett this year. I don't think it's going to be Hooker in Tennessee. I think that right now I think it's Corum's to lose.
I like to tend to agree with you. I'm not gonna lie.
I died a little inside saying that.
I bet you did. Okay, and I appreciate you for admitting that, because it can be difficult to admit, right? But when you watch Blake Corum run, I just go back to the Iowa game, right? A solid run defense that he went and put triple digits on, couple of scores, but it wasn't even that. It was the move that he made on Jack Campbell in the hole for his final score that I was like, dude, that's legit, right? Stretch play, makes a quick move inside, Campbell bites, he busts it outside, gone with speed. Just best back in the country. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Detroit Sports Nation helped us out here with some Heisman odds, current Heisman odds. Stroud's at plus 125, Hooker's at plus 450, Corum at plus 500. Is that a bet you're making right now?
It very well might be, actually, because I don't think Stroud deserves it. Point to a bad game Corum's had. I can't.
Right.
I can't point to a bad game that Blake Corum has had. I can point to a bad game that C.J. Stroud has had this year. I just said it a minute ago. Northwestern.
Yep.
Not a good game at all. Terrible game by the quarterback. I get it. Again, bad weather, hard to throw the football, hard to move the football through the air when you have 25-mile-an-hour winds. It just is. I get it. But I've seen C.J. Stroud run as well. He seems to be able to move the ball with his legs. I didn't see much of that either against Northwestern. And Northwestern was very much in that football game until the last few minutes. So I'm looking at, if I'm doing the looking here of what have they done and what didn't they do that I think they should have done, C.J. Stroud had a chance to do more in that game and didn't. Blake Corum, to me, I can't look at a game and go, oh, he should have done more. Especially with Donovan Edwards breathing down his neck.
Yeah.
As good as Donovan Edwards has been. Blake Corum has not had a bad football game this year.
He hasn't. And Austin, I think that's a great question. Would you like Michigan to keep running, or would you have Michigan be an air raid offense? This is what's so funny to me. Right, Austin, you have asked a great question, and you were a fantastic contributor last week on Beyond the Box. So I appreciate you returning and listening and tuning in again. But this is the question, right? Because at the beginning of the season, you had a quarterback controversy between Cade McNamara and J.J. McCarthy, right? And what was the big knock? Well, Cade just doesn't have the numbers. Cade just can't get you there. Cade is not da-da-da-da-da. He only threw the ball 17 times for 183 yards, right? And then the ironic thing to me, the funny thing to me is JJ's in. JJ's a great talent. I love the fact that JJ's the quarterback of the team that I root for. No doubt about that. I think he still has a lot of seasoning, but he's a great, great talent. But his numbers aren't much different than Cade's. They're just about the same, actually. He's not throwing the ball a ton. He's not getting the ball downfield because he doesn't have to. So, Austin, to answer your question, then we'll get Matt's thoughts on this. I mean, him being an MSU fan, I think he'd probably like to see them do something that will hurt them, not help them. But this, when I coached football, and listen, I didn't coach it. I coached on the middle school level and the high school level. So it's never like elite stuff, right? But you got stuff that's working, you keep using it until it's stopped. And nobody has proved a way to stop Michigan's running game yet. And I don't think Ohio State's going to be able to figure that out either. Especially with the way that Northwestern, and I understand Northwestern only ran for 3.5 yards a carry on Ohio State. But guess what? I'll take 3.5 yards every play. I got no problem with that. That's a guaranteed first down in 3 plays. Right? I mean, I would love to see Michigan keep running the ball. One, because that minimizes the opportunity for mistakes from JJ, first of all. Second of all, it makes JJ more effective as well. Because if you've got a running game that can just pound the rock at will, that play action pass becomes very, very effective. Now, you got to complete the ball downfield for sure. But I definitely think that as long as they have these weapons and as long as they have this type of run game, you got to keep pounding the ball, man. Keep running that. Keep running the ball. Now, don't get stubborn running the ball like, oh, we're going to keep pounding it in for a yard because they're stacking the box with 8 people. Be willing to adjust. But you got to keep going with what's working, man. Got to keep going with what's working. You agree? Disagree?
You don't want the Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler 3 yards in a cloud of dust?
I love the 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Are you kidding me? I'm old school when it comes to football. All this motion and 5 wide receivers all the time. Like, I get it, but that's why the Heisman has become a quarterback award, is because everybody's tossing the ball a million times. Man, give me a doggone heavy set, big uglies up front, pounding the dirt, and just grinding the game away. I love it. I eat that stuff for breakfast, man. I love it. Unlike Jim Harbaugh with his Frosted Flakes and Gatorade.
It's head versus heart to me. The head is do what's smart. What's smart? Oh, what's working is smart. Well, what's working? Running the ball. So that's you're gonna keep doing. the heart of what I want to see, what's more exciting, quote unquote, football is obviously passing the ball. Things can go wrong. Things can get interesting when you pass the ball, obviously. And so in an era that we live in now of so much passing the ball, that running backs are getting forgotten in the Heisman, like we discussed.
Yeah,
I understand people who are quote unquote bored with Michigan football. You're ridiculous, but I understand it. You're ridiculous. Like, if it's working and you have the offensive line that Michigan has, you have the 1-2 punch of Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, it's working. Now, I believe in the game in a couple weeks. I think we're going to see a couple shots from JJ.
Oh, yeah.
Because
there's no doubt about that.
I think Michigan has saved quite a few plays for Columbus. And I think we're going to see some stuff we haven't seen against Michigan State. We didn't see against Penn State. We're going to see some stuff that Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have been saving for that school right below you guys in Columbus, as weather permitting, of course. But if the weather is not god-awful, we're not seeing the John O'Corn, Michigan State game with the rain and everything.
Don't remind me.
Then I think we're going to see a few plays from the Wolverines that we haven't seen all year, and it's going to involve throwing the football.
All right, Matt. So we're actually going to do something new tonight. First time, inaugural time. I came up with it.
You stripping?
No, keep the clothes on for a second, my man. Here's the deal. I mean, with the Lions on a winning streak, we might as well. Never mind. We're not going to go there. We don't condone that type of behavior here on Beyond the Box. But what we're going to do is we're going to get to this thing called hope or reality. And I'm going to give you scenarios. And I want you to tell me if you think it's a hope or if you think it's a reality. Okay? Is it a dream, a wish, or a concrete, fact that's going to happen? All right? And we're going to start with the first one. And we'll both give reactions to this. But do you know that with their 2 consecutive wins, the Detroit Lions are only 2 games out of the wild card in the NFC? Now, there are, and let me count them just so I am accurate here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Every team?
There are 4 teams ahead of them with 4 wins, and then the San Francisco 49ers who have 5 wins. Are the Detroit Lions playoff chances a hope or a reality? A dream is a wish your heart makes.
It's a dream. Y'all need to calm down. Like I said earlier, don't get too high. Don't get too low. Calm down. Let's get an actual winning streak going first. And a 2 is not a streak. I don't care what they say in Major League. 3 is a streak. 2 is a common finality. 3 is a streak. All right, we get 1 more. Now we got a streak. But don't forget who's right after that 1 more is Buffalo Bills. And I know they ain't playing great right now, but I still don't like our chances against Josh Allen and that offense. Yeah. But let's get some more wins under our belt first. I understand with the extra spot in the playoff, the wild card, and all that stuff. Yeah, and the NFC is down. Let's win some football games first. And I mean more than 3.
No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. But at the end of the day, here's the reality, right? Right now, it is a bit of a hope. But at the same time, they go into East Rutherford, New Jersey this week, and they beat the Giants, which is very possible. I mean, right now, the Giants, I think, are favored by 3 points and at home. On a neutral site, that's basically a pick 'em, right? So at a certain point, these are 2 very similar teams. The New York Giants, even though their record has been better than the Lions, are not necessarily a better football team necessarily, statistically and analytically, than the Detroit Lions. So you go in, you get that 3rd win.
You like our chances against Saquon Barkley? You like us stopping Saquon Barkley?
No, absolutely not.
I don't either.
But there's a certain aspect of let him get his, shut down everything else, and then just outscore him. Look, I'll tell you what the key to this game is. The key to this game on Sunday is going to be Jared Goff. And it's going to be whether he has weapons or he does not. I know, and you know my feelings on that boy right there. But if Saquon can run at will, okay, our offense cannot go to sleep at all. at all. It has to produce points every drive. And our defense has been playing a lot better of that whole bend, don't break. So, yeah, let them run wild in between the 20s and then bear down. Sure, I get that. Saquon's also the leading rusher in the NFL, so that makes me a little bit nervous. If they go in and they beat the New York Giants, and they are 4-6 heading into the Thanksgiving game against Buffalo, we've already said, I already know, I've said they might as well just forfeit that game and host a Thanksgiving potluck. Like, just give the Buffalo the win, get out of there without any injuries, break bread together, have some camaraderie, send them off on their merry way, right? That puts you at 4-7. What's the rest of the schedule look like for the Detroit Lions after that? Winnable games?
Well, I mean, technically they're winnable, of course.
Jags,
but they're also very,
Vikings.
very losable.
Jags, Vikings. Okay, the Vikings are going to be tough, right? They're 8-1 right now. Just had a wild game with the Bills. The Jets, the Panthers, the Bears again, and then the Packers again. I'm not saying put all your eggs in a 8-9 win basket. That's not what I'm saying. Because, as we know, winnable games, they've lost. And games that they probably should have lost, they ended up winning. Because there's not enough consistency. I just think when you're only 2 games back, and you know, and I understand that baseball is a much different sport than football. I understand that basketball is a much different sport than football. But anything can happen.
Okay. I don't want to just pour cold water over everyone who's sleeping and dreaming and thinking that 7-10 is going to make the playoffs. It could very well could happen, I guess, in the NFC with how weird it's been this year in the NFC, and there really isn't a great NFC team. But what happened this past Sunday, I don't think is going to happen again. And what I mean when I say that is the Lions had 2 penalties all game.
Yeah, they
missed
huge.
a couple that should have been called. The Bears pulled a Lions and killed themselves time and time again. The late hit on Jared Goff was not a late hit. Dude was trying to punch the football out of his arms, and Goff decided to fall. And we got a whistle for it.
Yeah,
there was an Anzalone pass interference that definitely wasn't called against Cole Kmet. That should have been called and changes that game.
You think that was a pass interference call?
I think it was enough that it could have been thrown. The flag could have been thrown, and I wouldn't have complained that much if it was. All right, Anzalone was beaten and trying to stay with the receiver and did a couple things that are iffy and have had flags thrown for before. The Bears beat themselves in a lot of ways as well to help the Lions win that football game. That's not going to happen every game. Again, take the good with the bad, and let's not go crazy here with the predictions of what we think this 3-6 football team is going to do this year.
Look, I'm not saying it's a reality. It's still a hope, but I'm saying it's not beyond the
You
realm.
are feeding into these mental patients' cases, and it's not a good thing, AJ.
Don't even go there. All right, let's move on. Okay, we both would agree that it's hope. Austin also agrees that it's hope. The Lion King, which I appreciate all his comments tonight. He said those teams that are ahead of him have tough schedules. That's correct. He also believes that Goff will have Chark and Reynolds back. Hopefully, I don't know. They're like a walking I don't even know at this point. Like, they are the Walking Dead. Those two at this point, they're unreliable. I would not consider them, somebody to count on this week. But look, I mean, Tommy Kennedy stepped up, 44-yard pass on 3rd and 8. That was huge. I like Tommy Kennedy. Everybody's loved him.
And when Goff doesn't have to improvise, he's actually a decent quarterback. As soon as he has to improvise, oh my God, is he a bad quarterback?
All right, let's move on to the next one. We've already talked about them a little bit, but hope we're dreaming. This one should be pretty quick. Michigan football's chances at the college football playoff spot. Is that a hope or is that a reality?
It should be a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
To me. Like, I don't know how you're going to tell me there are 3 teams better in college football this year than the Michigan Wolverines. You're just
newsflash.
There
isn't. There aren't.
There isn't. There absolutely is not. There is one team in the SEC that's worthy of getting in. It's the Georgia Bulldogs. That's it. Tennessee doesn't deserve to get in. Alabama doesn't deserve to get in.
Alabama's not getting
I'm sorry.
in now.
I don't care if TCU goes undefeated. The Big 12 winner is not better than Michigan this year. The Pac-12 winner is not better than Michigan.
You're a Pac-12 guy.
The ACC winner is definitely not better than Michigan this year. There are not 3 teams better than the Michigan Wolverines this year. And if they are not in the college football playoffs, it is an absolute travesty.
Regardless of what happens in Columbus?
Regardless of what happens in Columbus. Unless, look, I want to say yes, because the only thing that could happen that I don't think is going to happen is Ohio State beats you guys 65-3.
Yeah. No.
I don't think that's happening this year. So I think regardless of what happens in Columbus, the Michigan Wolverines are one of the 4 best teams in college football this year, and they should be in the college football playoffs.
100%. But I don't want to sound like that guy, but I guess I'm going to be that guy. The committee loves to screw the Big Ten. Okay? I'm just going to go ahead and lay this groundwork right now. Because they would never, God forbid, they would never leave a 1-loss Alabama team out. But if Michigan loses to Ohio State, let's say they lose 34-27. They lose by a touchdown. It's going to be probably higher than that, but for kicks and giggles, let's go with that score. They lose by a touchdown. Oh, well, they're just not good enough. Undefeated TCU goes in. 1-loss Oregon goes in, right? It's going to happen.
Well,
I'm
Oregon
preparing.
Don't worry about it anymore. Oregon has 2 losses now.
Okay, good.
So they're out of the conversation.
They lost. They lost to Washington. They lost to Washington. Okay, good.
And UCLA lost to my Arizona Wildcats, so UCLA's out of the conversation as well. It's USC or nobody for the Pac-12 this year. But TCU should not get. I understand. I don't care about winning your division. Are you one of the best teams in football at the end of the year? TCU is not. Michigan is. There should be a no-brainer in this one of the Wolverines. If you lose by 1 score to Ohio State, if it's a last-minute field goal, a last-minute touchdown, I don't care. You're one of the best 4 teams, and you should be playing in the college football playoff this year. But you're right. They would never get to Alabama. Thank God Alabama has 2 losses already this year. They're out of the conversation.
But you know what? I'm a little bit curious to see what's going to happen, though. Let's say Tennessee doesn't lose again. They only have 1 loss, right? They only lost to Georgia.
Yes, Georgia.
They've only lost to Georgia. Georgia's undefeated. Georgia's going to be in. Okay? The winner of the Ohio State-Michigan game is in. No doubt about it, because they're not losing the Big Ten championship game. The Big Ten West is...
No chance.
Right?
Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, whoever, don't matter. You're not winning the Big Ten championship.
TCU goes undefeated. They win the Big 12. TCU is going to be in. Okay? Now, here's what's going to happen. I will almost guarantee you this. A 1-loss Tennessee team gets in over the 1-loss Big Ten team because of the SEC bias. Because we thought that there was an SEC bias with the BCS. But the reality is, they love those SEC teams for whatever reason. But you put Tennessee and Michigan on a football field together this year, I don't think it's close. You put Ohio State and Tennessee on a football field this year, I don't think it's close. Georgia is the only team in America better, potentially, than Ohio State and Michigan. No doubt about it. But the committee, and maybe it's a little bit of, our home state bias. But I'm literally saying that about Ohio State as well. If Ohio State loses to Michigan, they should get in over a 1-loss Tennessee.
Agreed.
Right?
And this is where we start getting a tricky argument as far as Tennessee's loss is against Georgia, the defending national champs. Michigan's loss is to Ohio State, or Ohio State's loss is to Michigan. Those to me are, apples and apples. All right, and then after that, it's, well, who's your best win? And everyone's going to point to Tennessee's best win is against Alabama.
Is it a great win?
Alabama's not been that great this year.
Alabama's not Alabama this year.
It's exactly. And so, then you got to go, okay, well, then who's Michigan's great win? If you're the team that lost to Ohio State, or vice versa for Ohio State. Who's Michigan? Penn State? Is Penn State and Alabama comparable? I think Alabama beats Penn State.
Maybe.
I
bet it's closer than people think.
After that.
It does. It for sure gets tricky. The best case scenario in my mind, and you're hearing this from a Michigan guy, okay? obviously this is going to be slanted towards Michigan, but obviously a Michigan win in Columbus and a Michigan Big Ten championship is the best case scenario for one reason. I think Ohio State with one loss has a better chance of getting into the college football playoff than a Michigan with one loss does.
Absolutely. Ohio State is the Big Ten's Alabama.
Yep.
They have
100%.
been. They've been the flag bearer for the conference for years, especially since the BCS and the CFP have started.
Yeah. All right. It's enough. Let's move to teams that we don't really have a connection to, but there's been a lot of drama around this. Mr. Jeff Saturday coming out of the ESPN studio, heading to the sidelines, has never coached in college or pro football, but yet is handed the reins as an interim coach to the Indianapolis Colts. My question to you, Matt, is it a hope or a reality after getting his first NFL win on Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders? Hope or reality that Jeff Saturday becomes the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts in 2023. Oh, I want to give a shout out to our guy. Look who it is. Chris MVP Harris. What's up, my man? All right,
I love when Jim Irsay's drinking.
Oh, my goodness, I know, right?
So the question is he going to stay the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts after the 2022 season?
Yeah, next year, 2023.
No, I don't even think he wants to. Do you think he wants to? I think this is I'll cover your butt for the rest of the year, but I don't think he wants to go into being a full-time head coach.
Did you hear his press conference? When he said...
Which one?
Well, okay, I don't know. It was the Saturday after he was hired, I guess, where he goes, look, I'm a man. I can take it. I don't even know if I'm going to be good at this, but we'll find out. Right? And if I'm not good, I have no problem saying I'm not good. But if I am good, they got to win. And he didn't make terrible decisions from what I saw on Sunday, because I did watch that game because I had a vested interest. You know, got Devontae from you in fantasy football and then played him against you this week. And so I wanted to watch that game. It was an interesting game. They looked okay, competed well. Now the Raiders' defense is, Swiss cheese.
So bad.
But if he goes out and rips off like 4 wins, 5 wins, is there a chance that he could be their coach? Even amid all of the turmoil and all of the social media backlash from the keyboard warriors, I don't know.
Well, because of the Rooney Rule stuff and everything?
Look,
it's a possibility, but I also think that we wouldn't even be in this position if Jonathan Taylor never got hurt. I think if Jonathan Taylor never got hurt, the Colts aren't in this position in the first place, and they're still with who they had at the head coach to start the year. But Jonathan Taylor getting hurt and Matt Ryan not really having any weapons outside of one to pass to, Michael Pittman, right? It's just there's a lot of bad luck that happened. When you lose, I said this with the Giants. Everyone kept wanting the Giants rebuild, and oh my God, look how much further they are. No, they had Saquon Barkley get hurt year in and year out to stay bad at football. The 1 year Saquon Barkley's healthy, they are good at football. I don't know if they're actually good at football. We'll find out. But you losing a talent like that as your running back is going to affect how your team plays. So having a healthy Jonathan Taylor against a very bad Raiders defense, and really all you have to do is hand the ball off to him most of the time and let him go to work. That's what they did, and they did it well. Jeff Saturday, I love the guy. Him retiring is the best thing that ever happened to him, because all of a sudden he decided to go into the booth, and he's got a heck of a lot of personality. No one knew this because he was a center, and you don't ever see the linemen, So
except for the one clip of him and Peyton yelling at each other.
Oh, getting yelled at, because he's changing plays. Changing plays. Just snap the damn ball. Yeah. Jeff Saturday's fantastic. He knows football. That's been proven time and time again by all the stuff that he has said on the shows before coming out here. You beat the Raiders. You won a football game. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's see how you start going the rest of the way with X's and O's and getting prepared and making adjustments and all that.
It is definitely a hope at this point. All right, Matt, we are going to skip the last one and we're going to head to our week 11 picks. Now, you're going to be picking for Eric. So your total, your wins, sorry, Eric,
Oh, man.
or losses.
Sabotage this man.
Yeah,
Sorry, Eric.
We'll go to Eric's total count for the year. We don't pick against the spread. It's just straight up. Okay. I'm giving you the games. It's 5 games a week that we pick. You always pick first. And here we go. Week 11 matchups. Chicago Bears at Atlanta Falcons.
I'm going to go with the Bears. I think the Bears are going to bounce back. Atlanta, another one of the, it's the same kind of game that we just had. Atlanta is one of these teams that is trying to learn how to win. They're doing it with an even younger quarterback than the Bears are. They don't have the rushing attack that the Bears have. They don't have the offensive threat. They haven't used their offensive threat. Pitts and London have been so underutilized. It's ridiculous. I haven't seen them put it together. I think the Bears are a better put together team than the Falcons. And I think it doesn't matter that it's in Atlanta when a team is this bad as the Falcons are. I think the Bears are a better enough football team that they'll find a way to win this game by 3-4 points.
Yeah. So I'm going to also go with the Bears just because of Justin Fields. Hopefully he can rack up the fantasy points for me again. As you know well from Sports Carnage that we used to do a long time ago, when I don't know who to pick, I always go with my fantasy team. So I'm going with Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. Now, our second game. Dallas Cowboys, who had a thriller in Green Bay, came out on the short end of the stick. At the Minnesota Vikings, who had a thriller in Buffalo and came out on the right side of the stick. Who do you got in that game? Dallas at Minnesota.
What time is the game?
Yeah, of course you were going to ask me that question.
We're talking about Kirk Cousins here. It matters.
It's an afternoon game.
It's a normal game. It's not a primetime game.
No, it is not a primetime game. Because the primetime games are, I think, the Chargers in San Francisco. Here, I can tell you right now. I just got it pulled up. It is if I can find their logos.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, not that one. It's at 4:25.
All right, so normal afternoon game. It's not a primetime game, which means Kirk Cousins is going to play like the good Kirk Cousins. This is an offense that is going to expose the Dallas Cowboys defense for what they really are, which is not that good. Micah Parsons is that good, but the Dallas Cowboys defense in general is not that good. And the Minnesota Vikings have the weapons to expose this defense, and it's in Minnesota. I'm going to go with the Vikings to get it done.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I mean, anytime I get the chance to pick against the Dallas Cowboys, I'm always going to pick against the Dallas Cowboys because I don't like the Dallas Cowboys at all. But Lion King does. Lion King says Dallas. He's picking Dallas. And I think that might be an NFC North bias. Like, he hates the Vikings and wants to see them lose. Which, like, granted, at the end of the day, I think we both would be okay if the field just kind of fell in and no team won. But yeah, we can't do that. So I'm going to go with Minnesota. They reign supreme in the NFC North right now. It's their division. They're not going to lose it. I think they have a 5-game lead at this point. Like, it's insanity. Yeah, they have a 5-game lead a 4-game lead over the Packers, which the Packers aren't catching them. So they're going to keep that going. Kansas City traveling to Los Angeles Chargers. And this is a Sunday night game, Matt.
Come on, man. What are you doing? We just picking obvious games now. What do you mean what? The Chargers look anything like the Chargers are supposed to look like this year? No. Give me the Chiefs. The Chiefs are just on another level. As much as I wanted the Chargers to battle this year with the Chiefs for the division, the Chargers have had health issues. They are not scoring like they should have. Herbert looks like he's not having that great of a sophomore campaign after a great rookie campaign. The Chiefs are going to win this by 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points.
Okay, so your other options on the schedule were the Bills and the Browns, the Texans and the Commanders, the Colts and the Eagles.
The Bills and the Browns might actually be a game if Allen is still not 100%.
Get out of here. It ain't going to be close. The Saints and the Rams. Like, who wants to pick that game? The Raiders and the Broncos?
Who's winning the Saints versus the Rams? Do you know for sure? Because I don't. It's 2 bad teams right now.
You know who I'm picking to win that game, though? The Saints, so that we get that higher draft pick.
Help our draft pick.
That's what I'm talking about. Then again, works to my favor, right? Let our guys keep learning how to win and get the back end of the first round pick, and let the Rams keep losing and get the first upper, tier. Kansas City is the winner in this game. I mean, it's pretty clear. The Chargers are. I mean, Keenan Allen, he's as fragile as they come. Mike Williams ain't going to be back.
You didn't want to pick Rams, Saints, or Bills and Browns, but we want to pick the Niners and the Cardinals.
Yeah. Yeah. Because can Kyler Murray beat the San Francisco 49ers?
No. No, he cannot.
You might be able to. Fine. Fine. I'm changing that game then. Rams and Saints. I'm changing it on right now. It's going to be the Rams at the Saints. I got it. It's already changed.
At the Saints?
It's at the Saints.
All right.
Since you want to pick this game so much, I'm calling an audible. And you can't stop talking about it. Sheesh.
All right, rematch of the 2018 NFC Championship that should have gone to the New Orleans Saints and should have given us Brady versus Drew Brees in a Super Bowl, which would have been fantastic.
But of course,
instead we got the 3 points from Jared Goff because the NFL referees are blind and can't see an early hit to save their lives. The correct team is going to win this time, and it's going to be the Saints.
All right.
The Rams have no weapons, dude. They got no weapons.
They got nothing.
Cooper Kupp is about to be done for the rest of the year. Stafford is not healthy. Their O-line is literal Swiss cheese.
Stafford's
they have no
healthy.
running game to speak of.
Stafford's not healthy.
Their defense is not good either.
Offensive line is terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, finally. Detroit at the New York Giants. You should be okay picking this one, I would hope. Goodness gracious.
Well, we have to, obviously.
I know who you're going to pick, though.
I got to pick the Giants. I got to pick the Giants.
Oh,
Here's the reason I got to pick the Giants. All right, I got to pick the Giants because I think the Giants defense is going to make Jared Goff do what he hates doing, which is improvise. And when he improvises, he throws terrible passes. He throws ducks. He throws sidearms. He throws into triple coverage. He makes he makes bad decisions. When the Lions' offensive line is able to hold up and Goff has time and actually look through his progressions, he usually goes to his first read if it's there. If not, he goes to his second, and God knows what happens if he has to go to his third. But when he has to improvise, it is bad. And he throws horrible passes that are just going to kill the offensive momentum. And I think the Giants defense is going to be able to do that. I think Saquon Barkley, who is looking like the Saquon Barkley we all thought we were going to get coming out of Penn State in the first place, is going to have a field day. And Daniel Jones is going to do enough with his legs that their running combined is going to be enough for the Lions to just wilter in this one a little bit. I got the Giants win this one. I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a close game. I'm thinking, 30 to 26, something like that, or 27-24, somewhere in that area. But I think the Giants just have a little bit too much right now for what the Lions are doing.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
You drink that Kool-Aid.
I'm not. It's not even a matter of drinking Kool-Aid. It ain't even a matter of drinking Kool-Aid. It's not at this point. Tell me what's great about the Giants defense.
I think their defensive line is going to be getting pressure against our offensive line. That's just.
Where do you think their defense ranks in the NFL?
I have no idea.
According to PFF, where do you think they rank?
The way you're saying it, you're going to tell me they're 26th.
Ooh, you were close, 27th. They're not good. Run defense specifically, not good. That can be exposed. And when you have a lack of weapons, and you have a two-headed monster, which, I mean, it's more like a 1.5-headed monster with the way that Swift is injured by a strong Breeze, you can take advantage of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're trusting Goff to do that.
Huh?
You're trusting Goff to do that.
No, I didn't say Goff. All he's got to do is turn around and hand the ball off. That's all I'm asking him to do. Against a bad rushing defense. And if you can sustain drives, and if you can keep the ball out of the New York Giants' hands for a long enough time, kind of like you did. I mean, how many possessions were there in the first half yesterday? I just gave you the answer.
5.
Yeah, 6, but one of them was a kneel down.
Yeah,
right?
doesn't count.
That doesn't
Bears
count.
had 3, Lions had 2 real possession.
Double-digit plays, long drives. Yep. You're going to see a lot more of that.
And how'd those adjustments go in the second half?
Huh?
How'd those adjustments go in the second half?
I mean,
the Bears put up point after point after point in the third quarter.
In the third quarter, sure, but yeah.
Yeah.
What they adjusted in the fourth quarter?
If you're trusting the Giants to beat themselves the way the Bears beat themselves with the penalties, yeah, the Lions are going to have a good day.
Sure, I disagree on the fact that like I'm not trusting the Giants to beat themselves because I think it was Brian Dable came out today or so he just says we just make less mistakes than everybody else or something like that, right? Or we capitalize when they make mistakes. I just get this feeling that there's got to be I don't even want to call it signature win because that sounds so overblown, right? But if you get the opportunity to go into East Rutherford, New Jersey, and you take down the New York Giants, who are a good team according to their record, right? After you've just beat the Bears, who are a still learning to win team, and a weaponless Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home, if you go in and you make that your third win in a row, then you can start talking about things being different. And I just kind of get the sense that they're going to do enough right. They'll probably do a lot wrong, but they're going to do enough right to win this game.
I hope you're right.
So I'm picking the Lions.
You're right.
I'm picking the Lions. And this, Matt, this goes against every fiber of my being when it comes to picking these teams. I picked the Bears last week to beat the Lions because I just wasn't sure. But at this point, and it's not even Kool-Aid, it's not even fandom, it's just, I think that it's going to happen. I got that gut feeling that I'm going to be let down. I'm going to be let down. And I'm okay being let down because that's the mark of a true Lions fan, right? Matt, we have 4 minutes left. Right. We have 4 minutes left. We're going to talk some hoops and Cade Cunningham. Him being out obviously impacts the Pistons. I don't think it can make them any worse because they're a really bad team. So we're going to just kind of gloss over that. They're just a bad team. We know the Pistons are a bad team. They can't play defense. They can shoot pretty well, but they can't play defense. They just can't shoot well enough to get over their defense.
Them being able to shoot pretty well is a new thing.
What I want to do is I want to finish the show with hoorah and who cares. Matt, this is an opportunity for us to rant about something we're proud of in the sports world and something we're just sick of hearing about in the sports world. So, Matt, you go ahead and give us your hoorah for this week.
My hoorah for this week is J.J. Watt, man. Like, this man just does good all the time whenever he can. And you saw how someone posted about a bet that got screwed on what should have been a Cardinals defensive touchdown, and it was part of a parlay they had that they bet a few dollars and was going to win 1,000, and they hit up J.J. Watt on Twitter, not asking for anything, just complaining about what happened. And J.J. Watt responded and said, DM me, I got you. Yeah, we got screwed as well, blah, blah, blah. And this is just the next thing in a long line of J.J. Watt just being awesome, from charities to helping people out to giving money to stop them from whatever it may be. JJ Watt is the epitome of what you want a celebrity to be. All the people who talk about, and Charles Barkley amongst them, celebrities are not role models. I am not your role model. JJ Watt is a role model.
He is. And I think that is a fantastic hoorah. Mine comes from Ohio and the Ohio State University. And just to prove that I'm not a true Michigan homer, even though go blue always, you got to give a hoorah to Cameron Babb. You got to throw out and shout out this guy who has been plagued by injuries his entire career. A former 4-star recruit that's never been able to be on the field because of four, count them, 4 ACL tears. And he found pay dirt on Saturday.
I'd be afraid to walk.
I know. Like, you might trip over a rock the wrong way and snap your ACL
Just
again.
any wrong step, like, oh, there it goes again.
But Cameron Babb, like, I want to shout you out, man. Like, congratulations on persevering. Congratulations on finding the end zone for the first time in your career. Like, great recovery. Good job. Don't do it against Michigan. Now, Matt, for your who cares, what are you sick of hearing about?
I'm sick of hearing about my Lakers and LeBron James and how they're not as good as everyone expected them to be. I didn't expect them to be good at all. Haven't expected them to be good for years. They do the same thing no matter where LeBron goes, of giving away all capital you have for the future in trying to win now, and you let LeBron put together a team that has no business winning, and they don't win. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of hearing about all the changes they're trying to make, and it's year in and year out the same crap. And I'm just over it. I've been over it for a long time, and it just all needs to go away and start refresh and put the Lakers in the same spot the Pistons are in, with a whole bunch of young guys, and let them grow.
Well, I'm going to stick with the same kind of theme, Matthew Bassin. Stick on the hardwood as well. You know what who cares from me? Doggone Kyrie Irving. Can we stop talking about this guy? Please. What he did was
at least
horrible.
until he's actually on the court.
Like, listen, he should own him for what he did. I understand that there's stipulations. I understand. But do you understand that the more press you give this guy, the more it's out there? Can we stop, for the love of everything, talking about Kyrie Irving? I'm done with him. He hasn't done anything in how many years? Except for be injured and cause problems everywhere he's gone.
Pretty much.
Can we stop? Yes, he made a big shot against Golden State to win LeBron a championship. Okay?
Which never should have happened in the first place.
Sure. We can argue that another day. But can we stop? Stop giving this man press for just being a moron. He is, like, I'm so, like, I don't know if you caught the show. I've been so over the moon, just irritated with all the Tom Brady stuff. Finally, that's over with. My new thing is, like, can we stop with, like, I'm sick of pulling up Facebook, and I'm sick of pulling up all other news sources and seeing Kyrie Irving this, Kyrie Irving. Like, I'm done. I don't want to hear it anymore. He's a moron.
AJ, you better be careful, man. These comments are going to push Kyrie to the edge of the earth.
Hopefully he falls off. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's not like he's going to, because the Earth's not flat. Newsflash, Kyrie. It's not flat. You cannot fall off the edge of it. God. Tell me you didn't go to class at Duke without telling me you didn't go to class at Duke.
He only went to 11 games for Duke. I mean,
like, golly, man. Just so bad. Just so stinking bad. I'm so done with it. Matt, that has been our Beyond the Box show for tonight. I am so thankful that you were able to stop by. I appreciate your enthusiasm, your making fun of me, and the games that I chose for us to pick on the NFL schedule. Thank you so much. Hopefully, everything is good with Eric, and he will be back next week. But Matt, as always, it is always good to spend some time and talk sports, man. I appreciate you being here.
Always a pleasure, AJ. You know that.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next Monday night at 7 o'clock for Beyond the Box Live. Y'all have a great